I am a wing girl. I coach men on how to understand women so they can date, attract, seduce, be with, get any woman they want. The thing about me is that I'm not a woman who gives bullshit, typical female responses like, you're great and keep doing what you're doing. I call men out, I tell them that they're being wimpy, I tell them to grow some balls, I tell them to man up and be the men that women want, but more importantly, the man that they've always wanted to be.
Okay, I want to talk about how to talk to women. I know that this is an area that many people have difficulty with because people have a lot of trouble in general talking to people. So of course, if it's a really, really hot woman that you want to approach, you're going to have even more difficulty. So the method that I use for conversation at the Wing Girl method, and even for myself, is called OSA. O-S-A. Okay, that's observation, sharing, and asking a question. And how OSA works is it removes all formalities. It removes any chance that a woman is going to continuously put up barriers towards you. Because every single time that you approach another way, which is the typical way of asking question after question after question, because you're fishing around to figure out where exactly conversation clicks for her, women put up a barrier to being interviewed because it sounds like somebody's trying to sell them something, they're not sure who the person is, and they're not sure what you're trying to get at. It feels as if somebody's invading your space when they're fishing around and asking question after question after question. So what OSA does is it allows you to completely skip formalities, and it allows you to break into conversation as if you're 30 seconds into the conversation already. Okay? So here's how it works. You make an observation about the world around you. So either about something somebody's wearing, what you think, what you feel. And if you think of it from a point of view of a 5-year-old without a filter who hasn't been told yet, don't say that, or you're not allowed to say this, or shut up, basically. It's a 5-year-old who's interested and intrigued by the world and spitting out the things that are in their head and walking people through their internal dialogue. Okay, so an observation. So if I were to look over at the wall over there, I would say there's a mark on the wall over there. That's an observation, right? The next part is sharing. So that's a mark on the wall over there. And then sharing would be expanding on that statement or observation that you've spit out of your mouth, and then explaining something. So you're sharing a little tidbit of yourself. And sharing is when you show a woman who you are because you're helping her paint a picture, so that she's not like, who is this freak who's talking to me? So sharing is anything like, oh God, that mark on the wall, I've been meaning to fix it for so long. It's really annoying. I think about it every single time that I walk into the room. Okay? So observation, sharing. The third part is opening up the conversation, because observation and sharing will capture a woman's attention. So she'll look at you and go, huh? Okay, what else? Give me more. There's no reason for her to actually engage in the conversation yet unless she's a chatterbox, which I am and I usually do anyway. But most women are not, especially if a strange man is coming and approaching them. So asking is a way of saying, I'm talking about my world, I'm living in my own world, now I'm inviting you into it. And if you can keep up in my world, then I'll let you in it a little bit more. So you open it up by asking a question. And usually you want an open-ended question if possible. So you don't ever want to have a question that starts with do you, because do you usually gets a yes or a no. You want a how, why, when. How, why, what, when, and where. Those are all triggers to help you ask open-ended questions so that you do observation, sharing, and asking. And for you right now, if you're not used to doing this form of conversation, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. But what I want you to do is play around with this and try it with everybody that you interact with, so that you're not going, hi, my name is Marni. You're talking to them as if you already know them, you're 30 seconds into the conversation, and you're skipping all formalities, because you want people to feel as comfortable with you as possible, which means you want to show them first that you're as comfortable as possible. And the comfort level is, I'm okay to put information out there. You don't have to latch onto it. I'm okay if you don't respond. So to tell you a story about this morning using OSA, I was in the supermarket, and I'm wearing a hat, as you can see, because it's freaking freezing in Los Angeles. I know you're going to make fun of me and call me a baby, but it's 40. That's cold, and I'm Canadian, and I should know what that is in Celsius. No idea, but it's really freaking cold. So I went into Whole Foods all bundled up. I literally had my hat on, my jacket, a sweater, scarf, like Ugg boots. I'm like, packaged in tight. And this woman is in the aisle, and she is wearing a tank top and a pair of shorts, like some sort of freak of nature. So I walked by her, and instead of saying, "Oh, hi, my name's Marni. Well, what are you wearing, a t-shirt and shorts for, or a tank top?" Okay, that is like icky even for me to say. What I did was I just said, "T-shirt and shorts, you crazy?" I made an observation. Okay, and then I just like walked past her afterwards. I didn't need to do the observation sharing and asking at that point. I literally just said, and I'll give you a couple of other options of what you could have said. You could have walked by and said, "Tank top and shorts, insane, walk by." Or I could have said, "How are you wearing a t-shirt and shorts?" I keep saying t-shirt, but it's tank top. "Tank top and shorts right now, you're crazy." And then I could have engaged in conversation with her for a little bit. But I just said it and walked by because I have my life to get back to, so I wanted to continue. And then I went in line to go wait for a coffee, and she actually came back up and engaged me in conversation. And she was trying to explain why she's wearing a tank top and shorts. Because for me, I just walked by and I screamed out something that I observed because that's my world. That's something that was interesting to me that popped up at that moment. And so when she came back up to me, she's like, "I just came from an exercise class." She's like, "I know everybody in here must think that I am like a weirdo." And then we engaged in conversation, and I continued to use OSA. So anytime that I make a statement or I make an observation, what I want to do is I want to back it up with something that shows who I am, because that's how women get to know you. You always ask, why do women ask questions? It's because men typically speak in statements. They don't give enough information. So when women ask questions, they're trying to find out more about you so they can paint a picture of who you are and pull together pieces to say something about you, to say he's a good man, he's proactive, he gives a charity, whatever it is and whoever you are. So if you make a statement or an observation and then you share something about yourself, either a story, an opinion, an experience, whatever it is, that's when she gets to see who you are as a person. And one more little tidbit before I go is the sharing portion is where you inject emotion into your conversation. So remember how I always say women want to feel you? That sharing portion is where you can inject emotion in. So if you ever stumble in this area with sharing, you can use the magical word because the word "because" reminds you to inject emotion into your conversation so that you always have a deeper conversation. I'm not saying to start telling her about like your dog that just died a week ago, but I'm saying you're giving more of yourself so that you can paint that larger picture so she can see herself in your life, and she's not consciously doing this, but she can see herself in your life and she can see how she could possibly relate to you. So instead of saying, "I like basketball," you could say, "Basketball is awesome because ... And the observation followed by the sharing really gives that full picture of who you are. Like, I had a breath from that conversation. I'm trying to hurry up and do this before I have a lunch meeting now. So anyway, I hope that it gave you a bigger picture of how to talk to women. And there's a whole second part that I call LCA, and that's something you can find more about on my website, winggirlmethod.com. There's a link below for you to go to, or if you're already on my site, then it's explained in my program called How to Become a Man Women Want. I explain LCA, and LCA is the portion where women become addicted to you. Okay, so there's OSA in the very beginning, and then when you decide that this is somebody who you possibly could be interested in, you do the method of LCA, and I explain more about what that is, and that actually gets a woman to be addicted to you because it allows her to feel special and appreciated, something that women don't feel very often, or at least not genuinely feel very often. So anyway, if you like my video, please like it, write a comment below. I try and respond back as much as possible. But again, go to my website, winggirlmethod.com, or if you're on my website, enjoy it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.